Hey guys, welcome back. It's Andrea from Create a Canvas. I'm excited to do some drawing with you today, so we're going to practice using some pastels. So, there are two different types of pastels, and I'm going to be using chalk pastels today, but you could also use oil pastels. I'm going to show you the difference. You have chalk pastels that are basically like chalk, you're used to them, but they're a little bit more saturated than actual chalk. You get brighter colors, but you're able to do the same thing as blending with your finger using the chalk to blend the colors together, so they're kind of fun to work with. And then there's also oil pastels. And oil pastels, they're more similar to a crayon kind of consistency, but they can also blend. So both are really fun to work with. I would suggest trying both. I'm going to be using chalk today for this drawing, but this month there's also some oil pastel projects in the library. So if you're curious, check down below for more oil pastel projects. So today we're going to do the autumn owl painting. We're getting into fall, and I think the animal I think of when I think of fall is an owl, so I thought it would be fun to start with. Has a lot of symbolism, so people tend to like owls. So what we're going to need when you're using pastels, you typically want to be using black paper. You can buy pastel paper, but it's pretty expensive, or you can just get black construction paper. If you bought the supply kit from us, we've provided some black paper for you, so that's for your pastels. So you're going to need that, and you're going to need a white colored pencil, or a light color that you can see. I don't know if I have a white. Yeah, there we go. A white colored pencil to do your sketching and your drawing, and then lastly you'll need your pastels. So I'm going to go step by step with you how to draw the owl, and then we'll start coloring him in and giving him some pizzazz and character. And you can personalize your owl any way you like. Okay, so one other thing I want you to try to find is go ask your mom for a salad plate. See if you can find a salad plate. It's not as big, it's not a big plate, it's a smaller plate, and we're going to use this to trace with. So if you don't have a plate, find something circular, something big and circular that you can trace. We're going to start with that. So this is going to be for the shape of our moon. So what we're going to do first is you're going to take your plate, you're going to line it up in the top left corner of your paper, but it's going off the edge. This is the moon, and we're going to outline it. And remember, when you are drawing, you say draw light until it's right. So don't push too hard until you know that's the actual line that you want to have, and then you can push a little bit harder in case you need to erase or make some changes. It just saves you some time later. All right, so we have our moon shape in. The next thing we're going to make is the head of the owl, and it's a little bit tricky because it's kind of like a half circle, and then it becomes like a heart at the bottom. So it's a combination of a circle and a heart shape. So I'm going to start at the top of the head and make my half circle. And this is coming outside. He's inside the moon, but he's going outside also. So there's my half circle. Great. Now, just like the top of a heart, I'm going to make that shape. Great job. Now we're going to do his body. So his body is an oval shape connected underneath the head. It's kind of a squared oval shape, or the bottom of an egg shape. Okay, now we're going to put a wing on him. So his wing is going to start on the outside of where his body was, and it's going to come down to a point. It's going to come across his body right before you get to his belly, and it's going to come back up. So again, I started over here. I went down along the side of his body to a point. I came around, and I brought it back up, but I still want to see this side. This is his belly, so make sure you leave that side. Great job. Now we need to start putting his face in. That's what makes him look like an owl. So the first thing we're going to do is put in his beak. We're going to start not in the center of our half circle, but we're going to start a little bit above center. We're going to put a rounded line. And then his beak is going to come down past that heart line. So you see it went down past where your heart would connect. His beak is right there. Okay, are we starting to see a bird? I'm starting to. Okay, let's put some eyes on him. So owls have really big circles around their eyes. We're going to put at least 3 circles of different sizes, starting from the farthest out. So what you can do is right from the top center of his nose, you're going to draw a line straight up. Doesn't go all the way to the top, but almost. And we're going to make 2 large oval shapes on the outside. It's almost close to the sides of his head, but not quite. Okay, we'll do another circle on the inside of those, on both sides. And then we need 1 more circle on the inside of those. Okay, another thing that owls have that they need to have to make sure that you can tell it's an owl and not just any other type of bird are the ear type things that are on top of their heads. So from the very top side of your circle, you're basically pretending like if you were going to draw cat ears, pointed ear-like shapes. I don't think those are really the ears of an owl, but who knows? What do I know? Do you know? Share with us in the comments. Great. Now we have to draw his foot, and what is he sitting on? Because he's not flying, because his wings are flat. So we know he's sitting on something. So let's put him on a branch. So we're going to have a branch that comes underneath our moon, underneath his body, all the way across our paper, but we're not going through the body. Okay, then we'll put on his claw. So they have pretty big claws. And I'm going to only put 1 on him. And then I'm going to thicken out the branch. Actually, I think I'm going to put another claw on. We'll put halfway over here. It looks like he's sitting on the branch. Now if you want to add a leaf or something to your branch, you can. Or you can do that when we start using the pastels. So there you go. That's a basic way to draw an owl. There was a few steps, but if you know basic shapes like squares, triangles, circles, you can easily draw this, and you can teach a friend how to do it. Okay, so now we're ready to start doing our pasteling. So like I said, I'm going to be using, I hope I am, I don't have a white. I changed my mind since I don't have a white chalk pastel at the moment. I'm going to be using oil pastels instead because I want to make sure it's really bright and vibrant. So if you have all the colors in a chalk pastel set, try using them. I'm going to use the oil pastels today instead. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with his body. So I'm going to use warm colors for my owl, so like red, orange, yellow, maybe some browns. And you can decide where you want to put your colors, how you want to make him personalized. But let's do the moon first actually. So let's start with some white. So find a white and a light blue. Okay, So we're going to start from the very center, and we're going to start making circles outwards. I'm using white first because I want the center of my circle, my center of my moon, to be bright, bright white. And as I'm getting closer to my owl, I start going around him. I'm leaving that part blank, so when I start filling in, I'm not going to fill in my owl till later. Okay, so I did about half my moon with just the plain white. Now what I'm going to do is on the outside of my moon, I'm going to add a little bit more white, but I'm going to start doing it like rings around the moon. So I pretend I'm going over the owl, but I'm really not, just so I can keep my same circular motion happening. I'm not filling this part in completely. I'm leaving some gaps. There's a method to the madness. But I went in a circular motion all the way around. When you're finished with the white, you're going to pick up your light blue, and you're going to put this light blue in the gaps. And you can go right up to the edge of your owl. Just don't go into him, because you don't want your blues and your warm colors to mix. Okay, then once you have your pastels down, then what you can do is you just take your finger and you push the pastel around. You can blend them together. So you don't want to go in all different directions. You want to follow the same pattern and same direction that you put the pastel down. So we went in a circular motion. So I'm using my finger to blend in the same circular motion. And basically what's going to start happening is your black paper starts getting filled in with pastel. Even though we didn't completely fill in the black, we're moving that pastel crayon around. It feels like crayon. It's waxy. We're moving it around and blending it together. And then once you get a blend, like up here, I feel like I could probably use a little bit more. There's a couple spots where I see that I can add a little bit more pastel to. You can go back and hit those spots that you see. If you feel like some parts start to fade away and they just need a little extra pop of color, especially with white. White is great, which is why I didn't use my chalk pastels, because white, when you're using pastels, it's probably why it's gone, is because it's really, really important color when you're using pastels, because it's what gives it the pop, especially on black paper. So if your pastel breaks or your white pastel breaks, don't throw it away. You're going to need it. All right, so I have that done. Now I'm going to start on his body. So I'm going to start with red. And I'm going to do this bottom part of his body. I'm going to outline. I'm not going to do his wing. This is like the actual body underneath. I'm going to fill it in. But when you're using pastels, the trick to making pastels look really cool is to add a second color on top and blend the two colors together. So in other videos I've talked about warm and cool colors, so if you know your color theory and you know which colors go together well, like what color I would put with red is orange, and especially because I know I'm going to be using some more orange in my picture, I can use orange. I just saw I have a different color red, so I'm going to use some of that other color red too and get that in there. The more colors you put down, the better it's going to end up looking. As long as they're in the same color zone or color scheme, you're going to be just fine. I think I'm also going to put some design of this red into his wing. Instead of just coloring his wing all one color, I'm going to put in some stripage. So I'm going to put a few reds and then probably a little bit of yellow later. Okay. So I can fill those in. And you can always add more designs and things on top of this after we get it all filled in. If you want to add some pizzazz, maybe put some glasses on him or add some extra layer of texture into the wing. So basically what I'm doing is I did the red in a few places and I added my second color of red on top. And I left some gaps in the wing. That's because now I'm going to, I don't want to get in the habit of leaving all my pastels out because it's so much easier when you need a certain color. If you have them all arranged, it's so much easier to grab what you need when you need it. Okay, so I'm going to use some orange and some yellow now for inside of the other part of the wings. So I'm going to try to lighten it up a lot. So I'm not going to use too much orange, but just because yellow pastel on black paper can be a little bit tricky. So I'm doing the orange first, and then I'm going to go back with my yellow and pop it up. Okay, so once you have your colors on, if you need to pause, go ahead and pause, color it in, don't be rushed. You want to make sure you're taking a really trying your hardest and doing your best on your art projects. If you feel like I'm going faster, then you just pause the video. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my finger at the very top and I'm going to pull it down one time through the pastel and the wing, and it's going to get it to blend. You don't want to over blend sometimes because then you end up picking up the pastel on your finger and then it gets off your paper and then you have to go back and put some more on. Alright, so now that we're down at the bottom of his body, I'm going to just do one more thing. I'm going to make his feet yellow, but I'm going to kind of, because like what I said, yellow on black paper can be a little tricky. I'm using either a white or a lighter yellow, and I'm going to put that color in first, just so we get a pop of color and not light yellow with some black behind it. Okay, so I'm seeing I'm not being too neat and tidy with it because I know that I'm going to go back with my other yellow now and go right up to the edges and give it its definition. Okay. Alright, I like this color that I put down first. I'm going to use that also for his beak. So since I have it here and I haven't put it away yet, smarter not harder, my favorite thing. I'm going to do his beak because I feel like this color really pops. I also have decided, I know that I'm going to make part of his eyes yellow. So I'm not going to do the section right next to the beak because I don't want them to blend together. But I'm going to do one line out here on the outside. So I basically outlined the biggest eye with this light yellow color. And if you don't have a light yellow in your set, do white, white, and then yellow on top. Okay, so now I have his head to do. I'm going to do that orange to match the same orange that I put into his feathers. I'm outlining but leaving some gaps because I want to put a darker, and also let's not forget his little, I always forget these little guys up here, his ear points. That's the same color as his head. Okay, now I think what I'm going to do inside this orange is I'm going to find a little bit of a brown. And I'm going to add that brown in here with the orange for his head. So any gaps you have, any spaces that you see black paper popping through, Use your brown. And then I'm also going to outline his wing with that same brown. Just if I see any of my colored pencil still, we don't want to see our colored pencil. So I outlined his wing, I filled in his head. I'm seeing in the video I want to add a little bit more brown down here on his body. I'm liking how this brown looks on him. All right, I'm going to put my pastels away so I don't forget. And then, let's see, for, let's say the next color in his eyes, let's make it light blue. And remember, you can pick any colors you want. You do not have to follow my colors. I'm just kind of putting in what I think belongs, but that's my own opinion, my own creativeness. You can make your owl purple and pink. Oh, those eyes just made it pop. It totally, whoo, it looks like an owl. Okay, we're gonna get our white again. Some white, and then leave that center circle of his eyeball black. It's gonna stay black. All right, let's do our stem. Actually, before we do our stem, let's do our background. I'm going to do the background. I'm going to pick a couple different colors of blue, darker blue, because I don't want it to bleed into my moon. I might even do a little bit of purple. And you know what, it would be fun to do a pattern in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do horizontal lines. You can use a ruler if you want. I'm going to do these horizontal lines all the way down. I'm going behind my owl, not going over him. See, even just that fun texture gives him some pizzazz. Okay, once you go all the way down with one color, we're going to pick another color of blue or whatever color you want. And we're going to go inside those lines with another line. And if you see at this point on your background, if you see a little bit of the black paper popping through, that's okay on your background, because it's kind of a sign of a pastel. A true pastel is seeing a little bit of black. Okay, so I went back through with a lighter blue and see it's starting to pop already. Now the last one I'm going to do is a little teeny pop of purple. Just because it seems like it could be fun to add. It's just going to be a few spots of this purple. Yeah, that looks cool. I like it. And it just kind of gives it a little highlight. And the last thing we need to do is our branch and our leaves. So we're going to start with some black first. We're going to do black along the bottom of the branch. Actually, underneath, we're going to put the black underneath where the owl is sitting. So if his body is here, this part would be black because there's a shadow where he's behind. Around his feet would be black. And then the very bottom of the branch. Just one line at the very bottom of the branch. Because that's the shadow, the underside. Then we're going to get a brown. We're going to put that on top. Go on top of the black. because just having that black there is going to make it the illusion of a shadow. Then take your finger, blend the colors together. If you want to get real fancy and put a highlight because the sun or the moon is shining right down on the branch, you can take your white. Remember, white's a really important color when it comes to pastel. Right along the top of the branch, give yourself white and blend it in. And now we have our tree, or our leaves. Leaves are my favorite thing in life to color. So I'm going to pick a couple different colors of green and a yellow. And I'm going to outline them with the dark green. I'm also going to put a line down the center of my leaf. I'm actually going to add a couple more leaves on top here. So if you have any funny things that you're not liking around your branch and you want to add a leaf, go for it. Put a couple leaves down on this side. Okay, get another color of green, start filling it in. And then lastly, yellow. Yellow down the center of the leaf. And then when you're ready, you know what to do. Take your finger, blend your colors. Okay, you have the autumn owl. So now if you want to do anything extra to him, if you want to have him whistling notes or putting some glasses on him or a hat or a bow, if it's a girl, go for it. Be creative. I'm excited to see your additions and your personalizations, and I hope to see you soon. Have fun. Bye, guys.